Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor, and we are here today with a very special guest feature. Many of you know our VP of Technology, Mike Pfeiffer, in the corner here. Say hi, Mike.
Hey Taylor, how you doing?
Great. I'm really excited. Today we're going to jump in and talk about cybersecurity. And, this is such a great time to really learn more right now. And we're going to get into a lot of good stuff. But just to really kick this off, Mike, what is the Cybersafe Pledge?
Thanks, Taylor, and nice to be here. I appreciate it. We announced the Cyber Safe Pledge about in December of last year to really help our vendors know what the top 10 cybersecurity items that they need to be focusing on are. So the Cyber Safe Pledge will walk them through what those top 10 things are. And one of the reasons we did it is because our clients are increasingly asking us, our customers are, what is the situation with our vendors and the vendors that we use? So we created a very easy survey to do. And you can find information about the CyberSafe Pledge at cybersafepledge.americanbus.com.
Awesome. There's so much great information on here, and I'm just kind of reading through, but is there one that really sticks out that's like super important that we can't forget to talk about?
You bet. And it's good that you asked that because what we found to be the most effective from a CyberSafe Pledge standpoint of the top 10 is multi-factor authentication enabled. So what multi-factor authentication does is it just helps you not lose control of your email account. So instead of somebody being able to steal your email account and your password and logging onto your email system, it works in a secondary authentication. Sometimes it's called two-factor authentication that will reach out to you either in text form or in an authentication form to your phone to ensure that you are the one trying to log on. And if you put multi-factor authentication in place, over 99% of account hack takeovers won't be able to happen because they just can't do that extra step. So we see multi-factor authentication as probably the most critical of the top 10. We actually, to that point, Taylor, we get about 4 vendors per week that are compromised. So in other words, one or more of their emails from their reps get taken over and start to send out phishing attacks to us. So we can easily spot those with our cybersecurity team. We actually purge them from our email system and put a block on that user. So you really don't want to have your users get compromised because it just hurts the image of the company.
Sure. And kind of what I'm hearing too is that, when it comes to cybersecurity, it's not only like your actions that you decide to make as a company affects everyone within our network. So really it's so important for our vendors to get involved because if they protect themselves, then they're protecting American and vice versa, right?
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
It's a lot of the weakest link, right? So as the bad actors are going to try to get in, if they can trick somebody into giving up their credentials, that's a way for them to get in and start impersonating that vendor and then try to impersonate and get into us. So by all of us working together to keep all of our accounts safe, it reduces our exposure to attacks because many phishing attacks are the first attack that ultimately can end up in a ransomware compromise situation. So if you can eliminate the phishing attacks and keep your email accounts under control, you just increase your presence that much better than not doing it.
Sure. I must look like an easy target because I swear I get a ton of those emails and I just send them right to your team at this point, and they're always so helpful. Like they always get back to me right away and they kind of figure it out. And so I feel like we have a pretty good system going on our end.
You bet. We towards that, our security operations team gets those you talk about. We call it a report at americanbus.com, and we take reports probably from 10 to 40 a day, depending on the amount of transactions. And so when we get a report like that, what our security operations team does is, and the reason we want you to report it, why it's so critical, is we can look and see not only did you get it, Taylor, but did our sales reps get it? Did anybody in our email ecosystem get that message. And if they did, we can retroactively remove it from every mailbox on our system and block the offending party. That way, one report can potentially prevent hundreds of people from getting that cyber attack and potentially falling for it. So we have multiple layers in place, but having our human firewall, which is what you reporters are, when you send something to report it, you can give us intel that sometimes computers just can't pick out.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the COVID topic, the hottest topic that's taking over our lives right now. How does that affect the Cybersafe pledge and vice versa? Like, why is this a good time to really focus on this?
You know, that's a great question, Taylor, and it has dramatically changed the environment. And so if many of our vendors, as American, in 2 days, American moved our entire home office from largely a corporate structure with 70% of us there to working out of our homes. Over 90% of us now work out of our homes. Well, when you're in the corporate building, that's great, right? I control that network and I can make you jump through all the hoops I want. But when you take your equipment home, now we're reliant on whoever your home IT guy is, right? So I would say 6 months to a year ago, we extended our help desk support to all of our home users for their home networks. And a lot of people said, well, why would you want to secure somebody's home network? Well, I didn't have a pandemic in mind at that point in time. But what we did
None
know
of us
is
did, Mike.
what we did know is that we know our users take their devices to their home. So they're computing with work devices in their home. So ensuring that their home is a safe network really helps eliminate compromise surface planes when you bring your equipment in. Now, that also dramatically helped us in this recent COVID situation because we had many home networks that were already bulletproofed. The other thing that I will mention too is fraud and phishing activities have increased dramatically in these COVID times. And so what that means is you'll have many, there's probably not a person out there now who's not looking for masks in some way, shape, or form. And so you get emails all the time, all day long. You know, a large part of those are fraud and phishing. So we rely on that to create an early indicator. If we get somebody reporting those, we can again wipe those from our network. And I think one thing that we've seen in the COVID world too is vendors have moved their employees to home, depending on what state they're in. And many of those vendors might not have had the proactivity that we had with home networks. And so their users in a home network are harder to control potentially, and those home networks can be more susceptible to compromise. So now more than ever, it's really important to complete your Cybersafe pledge, get it on file with us, and make sure that you've got a plan that is addressing these top 10 items.
Perfect. And the way that they do that is to go on this landing page and then submit in that hyperlink at the bottom?
You bet. So the page that we're looking at here just shows you what the top 10 are and what we believe to be the most effective. Now, cybersecurity is a big field. There's lots of other things you can do, but at a bare minimum, every vendor, especially a Patriot vendor, we would expect to be managing these 10 items. Once you have your technical person review this information, they simply click on the pledge itself, and that will take them to our Cybersafe pledge survey. And they can simply go through this survey. It's 10 questions, right? It's not that many questions. They provide us a contact. The reason the technical contact is important is if we do have an account compromise on one of our suppliers, if we have a Cybersafe pledge on file, we'll reach out to that vendor and we'll say, hey, did you know John Doe's account is currently compromised? When we do that, we usually find over half the time they aren't aware of the compromise. And so this gives them that critical intel to reach out for two things. First, they can go and help that user get back on the right side of their compromise and control their account. And the other thing is they can let us know that they've put in place, they've secured that user and put in place multi-factor authentication. Because remember, Taylor, I said, as soon as we get a compromised email from a supplier, we block that account. I won't release that account again to be used until we know that the vendor has secured it and put multi-factor authentication in place.
we could miss some orders and other communication that happens back and forth. I did not know that. That's
Yep.
very good to know.
Yep.
Okay,
And
so
oh yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, so really the action points here is vendors fill this out, make sure that this gets done, and sales associates and home office employees continue to report anything that looks fishy.
You bet. And vendors should really know, and sales reps can refer their vendors to complete the Cybersafe pledge. We've had good cooperation over the last couple of months, and we've got about 10 to 15% of our vendors have actually completed a pledge. So on one side, that's great. We've got over 400 pledges on file, but at the other side, that's only 10 or 15% of our vendor base. So we'd like to see vendors step up this activity. The other thing it really gives you is in our vendor directory, which we do a good job of sharing vendor information, we'll note that you've completed your Cybersafe pledge. And over the next few months, American is going to roll out ACES Elite Central to all of our vendors, all of our suppliers, so that they can see their current pledge, they can repledge if they've had a change in their situation, and most importantly, they'll get an early insight to that competitive intel that says, Jane Doe or John Doe has been compromised in your account, please rectify and let us know when you've done it. So that intel reporting will all be available in ACES Elite Central as we roll out that platform so that they can log on and see where they sit with American.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm learning a lot on this video, Mike.
That's awesome.
Nice. Okay, well, that sounds good. We'll be sure to include plenty of information as we share this. But if anybody has additional questions, Mike, should they reach out directly to you?
At any time, yeah, they can certainly reach out to me. I'd love to talk and walk through we've talked to some of our suppliers who say, hey, we weren't planning on doing multi-factor authentication, and here's why. Within an easy 2-minute conversation, I can show, in fact, one of our suppliers, I showed them very easily that I could access their email system. I didn't hack them, but I could access their email system to the public when they didn't think that you were able to go to a web account. So it really makes a good stance, and it's just proper cybersecurity hygiene right now. And again, as we're all working from our homes, it just becomes that much more important.
Nice. I love the phrase cybersecurity hygiene, by the way. I'm locking that one away.
There you go. You can title that to the video.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Mike, for everything today. And yeah, be sure to just respond back if anybody has any questions, and we'll take care of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Taylor.
Bye.
Bye-bye.